Unanimous consent, the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of calendar item number 482, S3092.
The clerk will report.
Calendar number 482, S3092, a bill to amend the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act to improve the provision of certain disaster assistance and for other purposes.
Is there objection to proceeding to the resolution, to the bill? Without objection, the Senate will proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I further ask that the Padilla amendment, which is at the desk, be considered and agreed to. The committee reported substitute amendment as amended be agreed to. The bill as amended be considered read a third time and passed, and the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate.
Is there objection? Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to discuss and explain the matter which we just took action on. It is relative to wildfires. All across the western United States, historic wildfires continue to grow, both more frequent and more severe. Every year in recent years, entire communities have been destroyed by wildfires in a matter of hours. We've seen this in California, New Mexico, and Colorado. Families are forced to flee with only the belongings they can quickly pack into their vehicles. Now, last year, I visited the Incident Command Center in Quincy, California, to see firsthand the real-time response to the devastating Dixie Fire. Separately, I met with local leaders in Santa Rosa, California, to hear about problems with recovery from previous catastrophic wildfires. So my bill, the bill we just took action on, the FEMA Improvement, Reform, and Efficiency Act, or the FIRE Act, will help ensure FEMA better addresses the unique and increasing danger of wildfires. Now, FEMA's current procedures and requirements don't always work for post-wildfire recovery needs, and this bill will close those gaps. Look, I give a lot of credit to FEMA. They've gotten pretty good at anticipating and responding to other types of disasters. We're seeing it as we speak with the hurricane impacting Florida. They do the same with tornadoes, floods, other disasters. In all these scenarios, we know that it begins with preparation. The FIRE Act will begin the process of allowing FEMA to pre-deploy resources during times of extremely high risk. In the West, we know it as red flag warnings. When it's hot, conditions are dry, and the winds kick up, it's a recipe for disaster. And so to have FEMA be able to deploy in advance, just as they do already during hurricane warnings, as we're seeing in Florida at this very moment, is a smart thing to do. Then, as communities rebuild after a devastating wildfire, this bill will work to ensure that FEMA takes wildfire-specific issues into account, like melted infrastructure and burned trees. It will also help local governments work with FEMA to more effectively relocate critical infrastructure away from fire-prone areas. Now, in the aftermath of a fire, the bill will help provide better housing assistance, case management, and crisis counseling for survivors with a focus on equity for underserved communities and tribal governments. Oftentimes, these underserved communities and tribal governments suffer the disproportionate impact of these wildfires. So with the FIRE Act, we will be able to better prepare for and respond to the unique challenges of wildfires in California and throughout the western United States. The FIRE Act passed out of the Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee by voice vote on February 2nd of this year. And I want to take a moment to thank both Chairman Peters and Ranking Member Portman and their staffs who contributed to this bill, as well as our partners at FEMA. This is an overdue common sense bill to help communities on the front lines of our wildfire crisis, and I thank my colleagues for joining me in supporting it. And with that, Madam President, I yield the floor.